Yeah.
Welcome. It is Saturday morning, so you know it's time for another live edition of The Extra Point. We got Michigan Mike and Tasha T. Sizzle live on location. T. Sizzle, where are you this morning?
I am at a parasite clinic that this lovely lady here, if you can look, say hi to the camera, Miss Corey.
Hello.
And this is another volunteer.
Hello.
What she does here is she gives medication, free medication to people who want to bring their dogs or stray dogs here, and she gives them medication to keep from getting parasites and ticks. So she does this about once a month, and I volunteer when I can. And see, like, here's someone coming, they bring their dogs, and that's what she does. That's what we do here, because here it's the lack of education when it comes to taking care of a dog. They don't understand the thing of spaying and neutering a dog, or if you don't like your dog, you just don't throw it out in the street. So we do as much as we can to try and help to give the dog some kind of decent life. So
as a dog lover and someone who grew up with dogs, I applaud you all's effort. So does Jay Patrick. Shouts out to DJ Imperial checking in. Hey, we got a ton of sports topics to get into today, and we will do that right away, right after a word from our sponsor.
We are sponsored by May Jane's Coffee. That's MAEJANES coffee.com. Please go ahead and continue to go onto the website and her Instagram page for updates.
All right. And we're also brought to you by
Wolverine Comics. That's Wolverine_Comics TX. We have two auctions going on right now. One Superman, one Batman, or Superman and Spider-Man. So go ahead and auction on those.
All right. Thank you so much, Michigan Mike. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now getting out on warrants and you've missed the sports news the last couple of cycles, Lord, we're going to pour out a little liquor for the Pac-12. It's been a rough week and a half, 2 weeks
on the back
for
of
the
him.
Pac-12
Oh,
conference.
that one's the big one. Don't you want to take this?
All right, let's just make sure we got you.
Oh, I'm here. I just do that so I can hear.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right, so in just the last week, we saw Colorado last Thursday bolt from the Pac-12 to the Big 12, and just yesterday, 5 more teams left the conference. Mike, we had Arizona State, Arizona, and Utah joining Colorado in the Big 12,
1 year and 3
while
months.
the Big 10 just added Oregon and Washington. Mike, your thoughts on the new look Big 10 with UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington? Your thoughts on the new Big 18?
Yeah, I think it was inevitable that those two teams were also going to join. I'm surprised it took this long, to be honest. But it looks like everyone or all 4 teams are going to join in 2024, so right away next year. So that's cool.
Oh, so you're a fan of the teams that were selected?
Yeah.
All right,
sure.
Tasha, what about you? Are you a fan of this new look Big 18?
No, I'm not a fan of them bringing teams from the West to the Big 10 anyway. Period. I don't care who it is, what type of revenue they can generate. We don't need any help in generating revenue. I don't like the fact of those teams being brought in. Period.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, my initial thought was, well, what in the world is going to happen to the September non-conference games with all this conference realignment going on and everybody all piled in the same division? We've seen it with Michigan the last couple of years. They're not playing a Power 5 school in the non-conference this year, and last year they didn't either. And it's like, well, why would you have to do that if you're bringing in USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington? Like, Washington was a non-conference opponent a couple of years ago. I think Mike was at that game, if I'm not mistaken. Mike, do the additions to the Big 10 now put them on par with the SEC, in your opinion?
Yeah.
Say that again.
Does the new additions to the Big 10 put them on par with the SEC?
I think it keeps up with the expansion that the SEC has been doing, because of course SEC added Big 12 or the OU and Texas, so it's like they had to do something to keep on par with how strong those teams are, and I think USC definitely helps with that.
Right. Now, Tasha, do you agree? Does adding USC and UCLA and Oregon put the Big Ten on par with the SEC?
No, again, I'm just not a fan of those teams. And sorry, guys, I'm a little distracted this morning. This is Johan. Look how beautiful he is. I'm just not a fan of that in general, and it still doesn't put them on par, because when's the last time any of those schools ever won a national championship? When have they ever been in contention? When have they ever been in contention to win anything on the football level, on the football scale?
Well, I guess it was the Reggie Bush days if you're thinking of USC, and even further back than that if you're looking at any of the other schools there. Interesting. Mike, let's go to the Big 12 with their recent additions. Do the additions to the Big 12, will that make up for the loss of Oklahoma and Texas, in your opinion?
Absolutely not. No, you can't really just like clap your fingers and be like, all right, let's get 4 more teams in here to substitute these 2 teams. No, you can't replace a Texas and an Oklahoma that easily. It would have to take the same caliber. To what Tasha's saying, she doesn't care about revenue, but like that's a lot of revenue going into the Big 12 that they're going to lose out on.
Tasha, you agree?
Yeah, thank you for unmuting me. I was like, I didn't do it. Again, I still don't see it. We don't. When has the Big Ten ever been lacking in funds? When? They win enough with the FIs winning, Michigan winning, other schools winning. They win enough to have their own revenue. I don't think those teams are needed. That's just my opinion.
Now, do you think the teams that were added to the Big 12 are going to make up for Texas?
You cannot replace an OU and a Texas with
Right.
what they're bringing in. It's like Arizona State and who else? I read that briefly because I don't think this part was on the show since it just happened.
Right.
I literally just read that this morning. Arizona State is going to replace who? Who are they comparable to? OU or Texas? Neither. Who else was they bringing? Utah, yeah, you might can, because geographically you can do a Utah, and Utah is usually within the top 10 when it comes to football rankings and winning. But still, who are they comparable to? OU or Texas? Neither.
Right. Especially from a brand name standpoint, as far as watch eyeballs on the set watching the actual games. Good morning, AP Culture. Now, Jay agrees with both of y'all. He said, no, it doesn't replace it. And I think here in Texas, it's just weird having a Big 12 without Oklahoma and without Texas in it. Now, Jarrell makes an interesting comment. He says, if Deion does well at Colorado, the Big 12 will be okay. As a matter of fact, I had Deion in parentheses right here on this rundown sheet, because I do think if Deion can get the Colorado Buffaloes into a power, into like a New Year's Six type of cachet, if they can get to one of the major bowl games, I think that they could get eyeballs on the set just because of the Deion factor. But nobody's going to replace Texas in Texas. That's just not going to happen. Now, T. Sizzle had posed a question in our group chat this week that really got me.
Wait a minute, before you finish, I have a point on Deion. I don't think Colorado really counts because they were original Big 12.
Right,
so that doesn't necessarily count. And of course, Deion is going to move the needle wherever he goes.
Right. And Deion was being Deion. If you didn't get a chance to see his press conference yesterday, make sure you YouTube that. He was in rare Deion form. Now, Tasha did ask a question regarding the NIL, and Jay just broached that subject just a minute ago. He said these kids are going to have to pay for their home flight with the way these NILs are going. Well, Tasha asked in our group chat, is the NIL NILing? And that really got me to thinking. So I did some research. And since the NIL was instituted in June of 2021, Alabama, Oklahoma State, Florida State, Clemson, Texas, and Oklahoma have combined for one conference championship. Now, these were perennial conference champions prior to COVID. Mike, is this a big enough sample size for you to say that the NIL is bringing parity back to college football?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were talking about that early on, and you can kind of see it with Georgia starting to beat Alabama consistently in the last couple of years. Is like it's more of an even playing field now. You could even see, I know Ohio is winning regardless, but Ohio keeping up with Georgia. You have a TCU randomly going into the final, so it's like I think it's a little bit more even playing field now.
Tasha, do you agree?
Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, you unmuted me already. I have 2 points when it comes to that. The reason I said the NIL wasn't NILing, well, let me get to Mike's point first before I get to my point. It's giving other teams opportunities to get top caliber talent because they feel like I can go here and I can get paid. I don't necessarily have to go to Alabama. Because at the end of the day, it's all about getting the money. That's
Right.
what these kids want. They want the money, whether it's, from a booster illegally, or if it's from some sort of, deal you make with your local car dealership while you're at your college. That's what they want. So they don't necessarily have to go to the Alabamas. They don't have to go to the Georgia. They don't have to go to those schools to get that money anymore.
And Tasha, I just want to add to your point here with using our own team, Michigan. In 2020, Michigan had a 4-6 record, and they had lost 18 of their last 20 games to Ohio State. Implement the NIL. Not only has Michigan beaten Ohio State the last 2 seasons, but they have a better recruiting class than them coming into 2024 because of the talent is being dispersed a little bit more, especially in the state of Ohio.
And also, when you count in apparel and things like that, Michigan is amongst the tops when it comes to.
Look at Mike rocking his gear. Mike, sit back a little bit, let him see that shirt.
To apparel, and the second one. And the second reason why I don't think that NIL is NILing, what did I just send you? I'm on my phone now, guys, so I can't pull up what I sent Paul. You had a student, a former member of the Clemson football team who made an OnlyFans of his teammates, recording them in the showers and putting
That's ass-whoopable. That's an ass-whoopable offense.
And putting it on his OnlyFans to get money. I think he's at Old Piss now, but again, they do take anything down there. But that's neither here nor there. Like,
shots fired.
I mean, are you not making enough money? Are you not making enough money off of your NIL deal, your scholarship, whatever that's going on over there in Clemson, that you got to put your teammates on a video
with Dabo Luther the King, Mr. Bible Belt himself, and you got foolishness going on in your locker room as well. Yeah, that was an alarming story. And again, to Tasha's point, Iowa State just had 7 players indicted for gambling on their own school. Gambling on their own sport. One of them was the quarterback.
The quarterback.
I think that was another implosion that happened. I mean, that's the reason why the Pac-12 kind of is dispersing, is because they just signed with Apple TV, on their TV contract. Like, you know how many doors that closes to get like visibility on your performance?
Exactly. Because who has, I mean, and I'm an Apple product user, and I don't even use Apple TV.
I got an Android, so I'm not getting Apple nothing. Where's Android TV? Holler at me when we get Android streaming services. Tasha, don't you say a word.
You do have Android TV. That's your Samsung televisions. It's your smart televisions.
Oh, see, she said something nice. Awesome. We got to keep you with the dogs every week. I love this kinder, gentler Tasha. Now, Denise said, money or no money, that's just nasty and that's just weird. I agree. Mike, do you think the NIL is doing what it was intended to do for the actual kids? Is that working? It seems to be working for Michigan.
I think it is working. I think Michigan started off, I mean, it is slow, but I think you can't, the way you do things, especially with money, is you have to do things slow and gradually so you understand. People are going to make mistakes for you, so you're like, oh, let's not do that, right? So I think I agree with both of y'all. I think both of y'all have said it. I think I even said it. It's like Michigan needs to step it up, right, in the last couple of years.
Right.
I think they're getting there. I think they're at a healthy pace so that they can control it, because it does need to be controlled at some point. And I think some of these other schools are just like, oh, yeah, go do what you want. And that's what happens.
Right. I mean, post NIL, we have conference champions Wake Forest, Baylor, Kansas State, Utah 2 times in a row, and Michigan 2 times in a row after years of futility of not making it to the championship game at all. So it looks like the parity is there, but we still have some tinkering to do to make sure that it doesn't get out of control, because kids are still getting in trouble over money. But that kid from Clemson needs his ass whooped. I'm sorry. You over 18 now. What the hell are you doing?
And again, Old Piss, why would y'all? So that's going to make the rest of the people in your locker room feel uncomfortable. If you know he was somewhere else recording you, it's like every time you pull your phone out, what you doing?
What are you doing? Right. It was almost like a no phone rule. Right. Isn't that? Good college discussion going on there. I can't wait to get the show started. Good morning to you, Miss Stephanie Denise Coulter. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the NFL is officially back. The preseason started with our Hall of Fame game on Thursday. The Cleveland Browns beat the New York Jets 21-16. Mike, Tasha, did either one of you catch any of the game?
Yeah, I caught a little bit of it. Yeah.
Did you see DeMarcus Ware do the national anthem?
No, I didn't see.
I did. He was on the struggle bus with that. I said,
Was he Carl Lewis bad? Was he Carl Lewis bad?
No, he wasn't Carl Lewis bad. At least he wasn't pitchy. He was on pitch. He was on tone. It was very slow.
Yes.
But hey, shouts out to the Hall of Famer.
Right. I did a walk around my apartment complex, and I came back, and he was still on the Rockets' red glare. I was like, oh, my God. Is this game ever going to start? All right. Now, we just go. He said he was. My man said he was worse than Carl Lewis. Wow. He wasn't that bad. Oh, okay, he turned around and said, like I said, he wasn't that bad, but that was the long hole to roll there. All right. Now, we're in the midst of our countdown to kickoff where we're previewing each and every NFL division heading into the 2023 season. Last week, we hit the West Coast. This week, we're going to handle the northern teams. We're going to go with the NFC and the AFC North. Let's start in the AFC. We have the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Ravens. I think we all have a consensus pick that Cincinnati is the best team in this division. So, Mike, I'm going to start with you. Who is the worst team in this division?
I think that's obviously tough between the Steelers and the Browns. I think the Steelers have history there that they've turned around teams and can be pretty mediocre. The Browns always have great talent and then can't do anything with it. So it's like, I'm going to have to go with the Browns on consistency of just being a bad team.
Right. Okay. All right. Tasha, who's the worst team in the AFC?
The Browns, because y'all know I'm going to always bet on black. So it's going to be a conflict with me this year between Baltimore and Pittsburgh, because now Lamar Jackson has a little toy to play with, to throw to now. And of course, you know, I'm always team Tomlin to the day he is no longer the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Which will be never.
It's because you know they'll keep a coach.
Right. Especially if he's never had a losing season. Now,
right. But I agree with Cleveland being the best. The worst. Like Mike said, they always have talent. They don't know how to coach it. They don't know how to put it on the field. You got Freak Nasty, who is a decent quarterback. You got Nick Chubb at running back. You got what's his name, the linebacker that hit Mason Rudolph upside the head with the helmet.
Oh yeah, Miles Garrett.
Yeah, you got Amari Cooper, who he didn't work out well with Dallas, but he's still a very good wide receiver. They have a lot of talent there. It just never relates to the football field.
Right, I agree with you there. Now, Jay says the Ravens. My pops is watching the show. He checked in and said the Browns. Now, it's a coincidence that my dad is watching. Just as me and Mike in the pre-roll was talking about my daddy teaching us how to swim at an early age, he can vouch for that. Pops, can we all swim like fishes? Please stand up. Stephanie says the Browns are the Titans of the AFC North. Steph, what are you doing?
Nah, I don't know about that.
Steph.
I agree.
Of course you agree, Tasha. The shots fired. Don't do that. Pops is a Titans fan. Why would you do that to us this morning, Steph? All right. Now, let's go more specifically. Let's start with the Bengals. Mike, are the Bengals the one team that's best equipped to dethrone the Kansas City Chiefs?
Oh, for sure. I think they have a history of beating Mahomes and team. I think Mahomes has only beaten them once, if I'm right. So yeah, I would definitely say that they definitely need to increase on their secondary. I think that was apparent.
You're not sold on Eli Apple?
I had oh my God, I had a thing to send, but of course it's on my phone, so I could not show it. It was like a burnt piece of toast, and it was like that was gonna be Eli Apple this season. It's like a burnt piece of toast.
Yep.
Eli Apple was so bad that his mom had to deactivate her Twitter account. You know how bad you got to be for your mama to not show up for you?
And she was out there talking reckless and acting a fool.
She was.
Embarrassed her too.
You're
so
right,
that's her
Tasha.
fault.
She was Cash Money talking when he was winning. She says, we have the talent for decades, but won't utilize them. It's still tightened up. All right, way to fix that, Steph, because I do agree with 100%. We have blown many of great opportunities to do things as the Titans. Let's play a little game of true or false. I'm going to start with you, T Sizzle. True or false? Joe Burrow's next contract will have more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson's $230 million.
False. False. False.
Ooh, false. Now, to Tasha's credit, these are the deals that have come after Watson. Lamar Jackson didn't get the 230. Jalen Hurts didn't get the 230. Justin Herbert got 193, didn't get the 230. So Tasha's saying no. Mike, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. No, he's not going to get that. That was way too high. You know, we already talked about that.
Right. Okay. All right. So Vegas, as we love to compare you guys with Vegas to see what you all think. Vegas has Cincinnati with an over-under of 11.5 wins this year. Mike, you taking the over or the under?
I'll take the over.
Oh, so you saying 12 or better. Okay. Tasha, you taking the over or the under?
I'm going to take the over on that, too.
I'm going to take the over on that as well. Daddy said, nope. The owner ain't going for it. Right? Ain't nobody stupid enough to give up no 230, especially with him with a busted up calf.
Yeah.
Jay's taking the over as well. All right, let's go to Baltimore. Tasha, I'm coming to you first on this. Is Lamar Jackson still elite?
Yes. To me, he's never not been elite. He just didn't have anything to be elite with.
Yeah, the cover was very, very bare with the wide receivers and the running backs and the tight ends last year. All of them got hurt before he went down. Mike, do you agree? Lamar Jackson still elite?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he just didn't have any talent next to him. I like Lamar. Yeah, for sure.
Would you draft Lamar as your fantasy quarterback, Mike?
Yeah, I dropped Burrow, so.
Oh, you really? Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that. I saw that calf injury. I was like, nope, not today.
Right. Okay. Now, Jay just led me into my next question. He said it's not going to be OBJ. Now, my question to you, Mike, let's play a little over under. Let's set it at 1,000 yards. OBJ gets 1,000 yards this year. You taking the over or the under on that for OBJ?
I'm gonna take under. I'm gonna say like
you're going under on
maybe
that.
800. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Everyone is trying to count him out because he tore his ACL in the Super Bowl.
He was cooking in that Super Bowl too.
He was the MVP until he tore his ACL, and that was all before halftime.
I agree.
So again, everyone wants to keep counting Odell Beckham Jr. out, but I'm a fan. I'm in his corner. I want him to do good, so I'm gonna take the over.
Now, Jarrell says Axon Jackson gets back to MVP form this year. I really hope so, because I really like him, and I like the way he's handled himself, even with the contract situation and how he's handled himself in Baltimore. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Vegas seems to believe in the Ravens, like you, Mike. They have the over and under set at 10.5 wins. Mike, you taking the over or the under?
Dang, 10.5.
That's a lot, right?
I'll do 10, so I'll do under.
Tasha, you going 10.5? You going over or under for the Ravens?
Oh, I think that's accurate. Because it's 17? Because 10 will get you into playoffs. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna go.
So you saying 11 or more wins for Lamar this year?
I'm gonna say this conference to me is the most evenly matched, with Cincinnati, of course, having the edge. But this is the one conference that is evenly matched from top to bottom. That's going to be difficult. So I'll give them 11. I'll go over.
Now, Damian Coulter. Coulter's clan is in the house today. Shouts out, all four in the building. He says Greg Roman, the OC, was the problem in Baltimore. Now, speaking of OC, let's go DC for Baltimore, because Baltimore's DC went to Ohio State and totally wrecked their secondary. Did you see how many 70-yard touchdowns we had against them last November?
Horrible.
Please stay in Ohio. Please stay in Ohio. No, Jay is taking the under. He's not quite sold on 11 wins for the Ravens. Good morning to you, Miss Sheila. All right, I'm going to take the under as well. I say 10 wins is still a good season. And to Tasha's point, I think the division is too stacked. They'll beat up on each other. Now, let's go to Tasha's Bet on Black team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. She's always been a fan of Tomlin, so let's play a little true or false, starting with you, Tasha. True or false? Mike Tomlin's streak of non-losing seasons ends this year.
That's false. False.
Yeah, that was a softball pitch to Tasha, by the way.
Anything that's slanderous or putting Tomlin in a bad light, I'm saying it now. False.
Hey,
So
Carter Paul,
save
coach.
the question.
Hey, like Mike says, next question. Mike, you take it true or false on that? Tomlin keeps at least a 500. Well, there is no 500 now with an odd number of games. You saying true or false?
I think he wins more than. Yeah, I think he continues a streak of more than 500.
So you saying at least 9 wins, 9 and 8 at the very least?
Yeah, I really do like their young quarterback Kenny Pickett. I do think he's pretty good. So yeah.
Najee Harris showed himself to be NFL caliber starting bell cow running back, and Deontay Johnson and Pickett for I like that combination. I think they'll do better in the second year in that offense. Now Vegas is kind of skittish. They have them at 8.5 wins. Mike, you taking the over or the under?
Of course they would, right? I'm gonna take the over. I'll probably give them 9 and 8.
Right.
9 and 8. Yeah.
Maybe 10 wins if they get a couple of breaks, right?
Yeah.
All right, Tasha, you taking the over? Oh, well, we already know she's taking the over because she says they won't have a losing season. All right, Cleveland. They were 7-10 last year. Mike, starting with you. Is Deshaun Watson still a no quarterback?
No, I don't think so. I think he definitely has a talent, but he hasn't shown that he could do it in a while. Like, when's the last time you saw Deshaun Watson just like let go? You know?
You mean on or off the massage table?
All right, I guess I set you up on that one.
He's been a rock star on that massage table.
Oh man.
Oh, all right. Good morning, Miss Woodard. My name's Say. All right.
But I agree with Mike on that. He's never been an elite quarterback. He's always just been a good quarterback. No, I don't think he's been elite. He's just been a very good quarterback. But when you talking about elite level, you've had, quarterbacks on sorry teams that have made the teams like no one even wanted to watch Houston. You've had bad quarterbacks that made people want to watch the team. I didn't want to watch Houston. And then when they got rid of J.J. Watt and when they got rid of D-Hop, I really didn't want to watch him, and he was still there.
Well, I love to see the downfall of the Texans. You know that. Stephanie said, will Deshaun be ready after missing so much over the past 2 seasons? Can he recover from that, Tasha? Do you think that such a long layoff? He was kind of rusty last year.
I mean, they put him in at a time when I don't think he was ready for game action. So, they had to, what they say, knock the rust off of him.
Right.
The rust has been knocked off. I don't know if he can actually return to the same form because, right. I'm always looking for somebody to knock his block off simply because I don't think he deserves that.
She's not having it with old freak nasty, y'all. She's
right.
not a fan.
I mean, whatever you want to do, you want to be a freak, you want to do whatever. I have no problem with that. But you have other people who were more deserving of contracts of that nature.
Right.
And again, it's not his fault the Haskins were stupid and gave him that money. But I'm not a fan of Deshaun Watson. Y'all know I hate to say that because I do always bet on black, but I don't want to bet on him. I don't want to put my money on him.
We play him in week 2, so hopefully he's not. Do you see an improvement from Watson in his second year with Cleveland, Mike?
Yeah, I think improvement can just be throwing a completion here or there. I think he definitely improves. I think he's had the talent to do it. I just haven't seen, like Tasha said, that elite status. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's the Browns, right? So
right. Stephanie says they have to build in that fund for him to pay out all those civil suits that he's about to have, and that may be the case. Now, Vegas is kind of sold on Watson. They have them improving this year. They have the over/under set at 9.5 games. You taking the over? Or you taking the under, Mike?
9.5. I'm gonna take the under. To Tasha's point, this is pretty even. The top 2 teams are really high or equal. The bottom 2 teams are pretty equal. I say they keep up with the Steelers. I'll give them 9 or 10 wins. So I'll say 10 or 9. What was the over under? 9.5.
9.5.
I'll go under at 9.
So Tasha, you agree? You going under 9.5 wins?
Yeah, I'm going under.
No, Jay says Watson will be better than Jackson. Y'all agree?
Oh no, that's a lie.
Yeah, no.
That's a
Tasha, you
patent.
supposed to say it like in the
That is
chat.
a patent pending lie.
You
He
like
said
lies.
easy question. Next.
Next
Mentiroso.
question. Now, Jarrell's going to put a nice little cap on Cleveland says he hope Watson has a happy ending to his career in
Boom.
Cleveland.
Ah,
Cue the bands. Cue the bands. He says, are they in his head? Now, we could go so many places with that, but we're not because my nephew is 9.
Let me mute myself.
Right. Even Mike started laughing like, don't y'all do it. Please don't y'all do it. Melanie, nice lob, though. If this was the After Dark show, we would have jumped all over that. Moving on in a hurry, Mike. Let's go. Let's go to the NFC North. I got scared for a second there, Melanie. That's why she's laughing. She knew me and Mike got nervous with Tasha on the microphone today. Woo! All right, way to go, Tasha. All right, to the NFC North. This is the first time in over 30 years that the NFC North won't have either Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers hovering all over the division. It looks like a complete reset for this division. Curious to see your thoughts on who makes it out of this one alive, so to speak. Let's start in Green Bay. Is this the end of the Packers as we know it, Mike? Or do you believe Jordan Love can keep the train rolling?
It's two different questions for me as far as like the outcome. I do like Love in that position. I think that they'll need help to revamp that whole team because that's like Aaron Rodgers' team, right?
Right.
So it's like, of course, Aaron Rodgers needed. Well, he didn't. I guess that's a bad example. I was gonna say he needed some time, but I was like, he went to the Super Bowl like right afterwards. So
yeah, but he did sit for 3 years watching Brett Favre.
Yeah, I think Green Bay is going to need some time to get back on top, but I do like Love. So I would stay with him.
Okay, so Tasha, do you agree? Is this the end of Green Bay's dominance over the NFC North?
I mean, but the way Detroit played last year, I don't know, half their team is suspended for gambling. Do they need some NIL in the NFL? But you did have Peyton Manning out there talking to Jordan Love. He was at camp the other day. And, he didn't go to that Manning Passing Academy. But if you got somebody like Peyton Manning in your ear, probably trying to tell you some things and, trying to get your mechanics down right. I don't think they're going to be terrible, but they're definitely not going to be the Favre, Rodgers, Green Bay. What they say, can't even say our fathers, our Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, it was our Green Bay Packers. That was the early 90s San Francisco, Dallas era when Brett Favre came on the scene. So, yeah, that's definitely. Now, Jarrell says the Packers were turned into a running team with a good defense. Now, Aaron Jones did take a pay cut, and he's paired with A.J. Dillon. I think they had a combined over 2,000 yards rushing last year. They do have a good defense. We shall see if that will be enough. Vegas has Green Bay at 7.5 wins. Wow, that seems kind of low. Doesn't look like Vegas is a fan of Love. Tasha, you taking the over? Under 7.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the 7.5 because this is the first year that he's been able to lead the team. So I think they need to kind of get together. He needs to get, how do they say, get comfortable with your receiver, get comfortable with their quarterback. They need to buy into the system. So yeah, I think that's accurate.
All right, Mike, you buying the 7.5, or you think the Love may do a little better?
No, I'm gonna go under because I do think that they need to have a little bit more draft picks to be at the caliber level that the Lions are at. Lions, you have to think they've been taken for 20 years, so they're in a good position right now to have a lot of talent that they can work with. So.
Right. I'm going with the under as well, although I am rooting for Jordan Love to do well because he's had to sit and wait so long. Hopefully he does enough to at least
he needs to have one of those fake injuries so that he can just sit out for the season. That's what needs to happen.
Man, stop playing. You don't have them tanking before the season even starts, Mike. Come on.
Look at the Cardinals.
A shot. All right, let's go to Minnesota. Now, Tasha, I'm coming to you first for obvious reasons. The Vikings went 13-4 last year, but you were vocal throughout the whole season that you were not sold on that 13-win team. You said they were selling wolf tickets. Are you doubling down this year because they proved you right by looking horrible in the playoffs last year?
What did I tell you
this year?
I do not believe in any team that is being led by a Kirk Cousins.
No, have you seen quarterbacks? Don't you love them now?
No, that didn't make me love him more or root for him more. He is a subpar quarterback
Woo.
who's been making his name off of franchise tags, which I ain't
She
mad
said
at it.
subpar.
She called
Which
him
I
subpar, Mike.
which which I
Subpar.
which I what has he ever done? What did he do? If he was that good, only reason he got his job in DC is because RG3 decided he wanted to be a pocket passer and not his true position, which is a running quarterback. Let's just
Haloti
start
Nada
there.
hit him upside his knee and tore that mug up. That's
So
what
if it
happened.
wasn't for that, we would not even know of a Kirk or a Cousins. Then he
Wow. So
gets
it's
to
like the
Minnesota.
Kurt Warner syndrome. Trent Green went down and Kurt came up and took the job. Right.
Right. And then you get he didn't do anything when he was in Washington, and he was in Minnesota. I mean, yeah, they had a good run last year, but again, like I kept telling you guys the whole season, they're selling wolf tickets because I do
You
not
did.
trust
I'll give
any
you that.
team.
You did for weeks.
I do not trust any team that is being led by a Kirk Cousins.
Mike, let's bring some balance to this conversation. Are you sold on Minnesota? Are they selling wolf tickets again this year? They're 13-4. Is it now or never for Cousins this season with no Rodgers?
So with Cousins, I do like Cousins as
I do too. I like
a
Cousins.
player and off the field. But I've told you that he's very mediocre quarterback. I was like, he does all this work to be a mediocre quarterback. On top of that, especially since the quarterback Netflix show came out, I was able to see him like close up with the cameras and stuff. He has a very slow release. I'm not putting any money on a quarterback that has a slow release. I would watch out for that. I know the defense is going to be on top of that. That's why he's a mediocre quarterback, because he telegraphs and then it takes him a while to get released, and then that's why he gets hurt all the time, or that's why he gets hit all the time.
He's a tough SOB though. Now, my nephew says he's a solid 3.5. Now, ask Carter, is that out of 5 or out of 10? Because that makes a big difference in the ratings there. Is it now or never for Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings, Mike, with no Rodgers?
Yeah, absolutely. Now or never. You're either going to do it or else you're going to have to blow up that whole team.
Yeah, I agree. Just keep Jefferson and Cousins. You got to go this year, bro, if you don't get it done in this version of the NFC North. Vegas has y'all, oh my God. Vegas is not sold. Vegas agrees with Tasha. They have them at 8.5 wins this year. Vegas. Yeah. Mike, you taking the over or the under on that?
I'm going to take the under. I don't believe in the Vikings.
Woo! See, Tasha, you're spreading like wildfire here.
That's not me spreading like wildfire. The truth is the truth. Who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes? Kirk Cousins is not the answer.
So you're taking the under, right? All right, moving on. Now, Mike, Tasha was right about the Minnesota Vikings last year. We give her flowers. Now it's time to hand you a bouquet, because you came on here a year ago around this time and told us to look out for the Detroit Lions, and we almost laughed you off the set. Detroit turned around and had their first winning season in forever last year under Dan Campbell. Mike, are you going to double down on them? Are they a playoff team this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they had a lot of fight towards the end, beating up the Green Bay Packers, stopping them from getting in. I really like that. I'll double down.
You double down. So Detroit goes to the playoffs for the first time since 1991. Barry Sanders days is what you're saying.
Yep. I got
All right. Now Carter says out of 10, he's not a believer in Kirk Cousins either. Actually, you are forming young, impressionable minds right here on the extra point. You even got Carter agreeing with you about Kirk Cousins. Now, with Detroit, you've always been a fan of the Honolulu Blue. You've got Michigan ties as well. Are you a fan of Detroit this year? You think they can take the next step and make the playoffs?
I've always rooted for Detroit because I love Barry Sanders. I've loved Megatron. Not a fan of what they're doing. The organization is doing with Megatron, Calvin Johnson now, but that ice is thawing. But yeah, out of this whole division, Detroit has the best chance, but I don't know with those player suspensions. I don't know what's going to come of that. That's my only thing.
Mom's just shouting y'all with a Detroit. She's sold on the Lions. I just like the uniforms. I want to see them play on TV more. I love how they showed such maturity last year when they eliminated Green Bay with nothing to play for on Sunday Night Football. That told me a lot about that team because they did trick plays and everything to get that victory at the end of that. Now, they went 9-8 last year, Mike. Vegas has them at 9.5 wins this year. You taking the over or the under?
Yeah, I'll take the over for sure.
All right, so you're saying a 10-win season for the Lions.
Yeah.
Tasha, you agree? You taking over 9.5 for the Lions?
Yeah, I'm taking the over on that.
So it says
I agree. Now we get into my brother's team as Damian Coulter sits up in his chair. We're going with the Chicago Bears. Last year they went 3-14. Stephanie says the Lions definitely going. All right, so Mike, you got the people believing in your Cats. Now, true or false, Mike? The Bears have found their franchise quarterback. He's laughing, y'all. What is?
I think this is a tough one because we haven't given Fields a chance at all. I don't think he hasn't really had anything. And so I don't want to knock him out like before I even seen him yet. I think that's what's hard. So I don't know. I'm gonna say yes, just so that they could focus on the other areas that they're missing.
Now, do you agree with them, since you're saying yes, do you agree with them not taking Bryce Young or CJ Stroud this year and dropping back in the draft and not taking a quarterback?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. That's exactly what I would have done as well. And you see in the offseason, they just signed that defensive end?
Yeah, Yannick Ngakoue signed him to a 1-year, $10 million deal, and he was a Titans killer. So get the hell out of our conference, please.
Exactly.
He put hands on the Titans when he was with Jacksonville and when he was with Indianapolis. Glad to see him out of the AFC South. Now, doubling back to Detroit real quick before we come to you, Tasha. Jarrell says with a little more defense, the Lions can compete for the NFC Championship. You like them that much, Mike?
They could have it. They have. I mean, yes, I think they could.
Tasha, you disagree?
Yeah, I disagree with that. I just don't think that they have the quarterback talent, even though Goff
so it's a Jared Goff issue.
Yeah, I mean, not that Goff is just terrible, but I think their offense, starting with their quarterback, is not going to get them to that NFC championship form.
They may be a year away, in my opinion. I think that they will make the playoffs, but I don't see them knocking off Philly. I don't see them knocking off Dallas, and I don't see them knocking off San Francisco, although I would not want to be paired up against them on that side of the bracket in the playoffs because that team will go on the road and beat your ass. Like, they are Detroit. They are tough. They are physical. I like the new identity they have under Coach Dan Campbell. Tasha, Fields had over 1,100 yards rushing last season. Is that a recipe for disaster if he continues to run that ball like that?
I mean, it feeds into what we always say. If your quarterback is your running back or your main source of offense total, you in trouble.
Right. You can't deny Robinson your way through the NFL.
Right. And, I mean, I do think this should be a good year for Fields to come out and show us what he can really do. I think with the coaching that he had and the offense that they were trying to put around him, I just don't think that was good for him. I think he's a pretty decent quarterback. I just think he needs an opportunity to kind of show, or coaches that are going to coach to his talent, to his strength.
Right. And they did, like, to Mike's credit, they did forego a quarterback, dropped down in the draft, and took the best offensive tackle in the draft. So it looks like they're trying to shore up that line to give him a little bit more protection so he won't have to scramble as much. Mike, Vegas has their over and under set at 7.5 wins. They have them improving this year. Do you agree? You taking the over or the under?
I think they do improve. Yeah, I think those bottom three teams are almost equal. So I'll go the over.
Right. All right, Tasha, you taking the over under for 7.5 wins for Chicago?
I'll take the over on that.
All right. So Damian says that Fields was running out of necessity going back to them addressing the offensive line in the first round and picking up some extra picks. They also picked up DJ Moore from Chicago in the trade when they traded away the number 1 pick. So they do have at least a 1B. I don't really necessarily look at him as an elite receiver, but I think he's way better than what they had out there last year. We shall see on that. All right. Now, for those who missed the first part of the show, we were talking conference realignment and how that's all going to shake out for the Big Ten, the SEC, and the Big 12. The Pac-12. The Pac-12 looks like, those animals that they have on those wildlife shows when the hyenas jump on them, and then they show the after pitch, and it's just like some ribs, some cartilage. Like, that's the Pac-12 right now. Mike, if you're Stanford or Oregon State or Washington State or California, what do you do now?
Or Arizona.
Right, no, Arizona's in the Big 12 now.
Big 12, yeah.
They got announced on Thursday.
I'd jump ship. I would say like so let's recontract. If I'm gonna stay here, I want to recontract this. You know.
Well, on what TV? Tubi? The Pac-12 gonna be on Tubi this year.
What is that? What is that one with the Fox Southwest? They went to Bella. What is it? Bailey Plus or whatever.
Tasha, if you're the chancellor of California, what are you doing today? Or Stanford? I always thought the Big Ten would take Stanford because of the academic.
I agree.
But
Sitting there
what
like
do you do, Tasha?
Sitting there nail biting. What is we gonna do? What is we gonna do?
You can see Apple taking folding up their piano like your boy in Color Purple. Oh, time to go. Apple was like, well.
They're like, did we do this?
Mike, why are you enjoying this? You like to see the Pac-12 get decimated like this?
It just, I mean, it goes back to this is still a business. And so you can't just make harsh decisions like this without talking to your whole conference and kind of getting an idea of like, hey, would this destroy us? Because if you had talked to everybody, they're probably like, please, I'm not saying that the Apple deal is the main reason. I'm saying them not having enough competitiveness is the reason, along with the Apple thing was a cherry on top.
Let's just go ahead and bring up a SWAC team to the Pac-12. Put Tennessee State, Jackson State, Bethune-Cookman, Howard. I mean, ain't nobody watching it no way. You might as well give Apple TV some bang for their buck with the bands. I mean, you can watch
the thing is, most of those teams in that area where Cupertino is, where the Apple headquarters is, they may be onto that Apple TV. So you never know.
Good point, Tasha. All right, knowing where the headquarters is. All right, you in your bag.
But I don't see people like other people clamoring to get an Apple Smart TV just so they can watch Pac-12 football.
Pac-12 is on the sports network with Sling, and I've never clicked on that station one time ever. Not no throwback game, not no live game. By 9:30 on a Saturday night, I'm tapped out from Big Ten and SEC football back to back. It's just that was just a bad deal. Nobody cares about West Coast football unless you're talking about the NFL, and that's just the harsh reality. So Pac-12, it's been real, but this goes into a different iteration of T-Sizzle's Top 5. With this being the last year of the conferences being aligned the way they are, 2024 is going to be totally different with no Pac-12. Let's see Tasha's rank the Power 5 conferences as they are today. Tasha, the floor is yours.
Number one off top is the SEC. They're always going to be the top because no one is beating them on a consistent basis, and they have a history and a lineage of being the best. The SEC is the best, followed by our favorite, which is the Big Ten. The Big 12 has to be next. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, as they are now.
As they are now.
Texas and OU. Then I'm going to go with the ACC, and then the Pac-12 would be last.
Our father is exactly the same, T-Sizzle. I agree with you 1,000%.
And the only reason the Pac-12 is still in there because I'm going back to those Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, USC days when they were actually winning.
Now, for Damian Coulter to say you're all footballed out by the time Pac-4, I see what you did there, D. I see what you did. Games come on. That's true. And the thing is, my father, my mother, like the Coulter household is a football family first. Like we can put down some football. I don't have nothing left in my tank. I'm checking my fantasy lineup by the time Pac-12 come on, and I'm trying to get on Netflix and get ready for the NFL.
And you guys know here they don't do time change. So when half of football season, I'm going to be an hour ahead anyway. So it's a lot of stuff that I'm not going to be able to watch, period, just because I'm going to go to sleep.
Right. And good morning and happy anniversary to you, Miss Christina.
I had mine swapped. So I have...
Mike, who you got? Where you
I have
Big Ten
the
first?
Pac-12. I have the Pac-12 fourth. And I have the ACC at the very bottom.
But who do you have first, Mike?
Oh, I have SEC. I mean, they're very close. So the way I did it was kind of like top teams versus top teams, like who wins. I honestly believe Michigan and Ohio, and I know Tasha's going to disagree, they can both beat Alabama. And I think recently, I mean, Georgia was the only one that could obviously beat both teams. And then after that, it's like, okay, Tennessee versus Penn State. That would be a good game, and I'd like to watch that.
Joe in the house. Joe Milton.
So, but then after that, then you have to go to the tiebreaker, which was Tasha's point. Who's won the national title more consistently, and I'm like, okay, well that breaks it. So.
Now, Carl, he says, speaking of Georgia, he says, I'm watching UGA TV this morning, and the Wolverines are taking a special practices to beat Georgia. Mike, we didn't broach this subject live on the show. What are your thoughts on that? You think
it worked for the Ohio drill. So, if it works for that, it might as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, to that I say, and Tasha may not agree with this as well, but I'm a Big Ten homer. Although I don't have blinders on for the Big Ten, but I am a Big Ten homer. If you take away a fumble at the goal line and a shanked field goal, you're looking at a Michigan-Ohio State national championship game last year. So to the Big Ten's point, they're right there, but until you beat the man, you can't be the man. That's why the SEC is going to be first. Oh, Georgia's in the building. Mike, get your gloves on. Look, Mike ain't smiling either. Look at his face, y'all. He ain't smiling. So, Mike, this is just to recap. Mike still ain't smiling. Mike says SEC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and ACC last.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Mike, who you shouting out this week?
I'm gonna shout out the Dallas area because they got a lot of people coming through. They got that celebrity Jake Paul boxing thing, but they also have Messi. Shout out to the GOAT coming in Dallas for the FC Dallas game. Those tickets are crazy expensive. They're like $500. So if you're going, that's cool.
That's some Taylor Swift tickets. Tasha,
yeah.
who you shouting out this week?
Again, I'm shouting out all of my lovely fellow volunteers. Wave, ladies. It takes a lot to do this. Like we need donations. If someone would like to donate, you can please. I can give you information if you guys would like to donate. Because this
and put it in the comment section after the show so people can have that information as well.
Because this does take a lot for her to put this clinic on once a month. Like I said, we're just giving them the basics. We're giving them flea and tick medicine for parasites, which is much needed in this country. She goes, buys things on her own sometimes. We do get donations, but we could always use more. Like we have a couple that need to be spayed. And we have a few that need to be neutered, and that runs you maybe 5,000 pesos, which is $90 to $100. Right, and because one of them is pregnant now, and she by a big dog. And if it's a small dog pregnant by a big dog, you guys know what can happen with that. They could die trying to give birth to puppies that are bigger than they are. Right. So again, we need donations for this. Again, let me show you the medicine we buy. This is the medicine that we give them. And also, like, when dogs are sick, you have to have food. She has to go to the store. She buys salami and chicken. This is her setup where she does all the stuff for the dogs. You see all of this? You buy the food to feed the street dogs. So, yes, I'm shouting out like now, she's not even here. What did she do? She just walked down the street to go get some more dogs to bring up here to keep from spreading parasites and trying to keep the dogs healthy. So, yes, that's my shout out for the day.
Excellent job by you all. I'm just going to give a shout out to the 2023 Hall of Fame inductees. They'll be enshrined later on today. Shouts out to all of them, and shouts out to everybody who's checking in today. Glad to have you all on board. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue our countdown to kickoff next week when we preview the AFC and NFC South. So you Titans fans, make sure you log in as we give you the lowdown on what's going on with Nashville's very own team. Until then, you know how we get down. We'll see you in 6 days and 23 hours. Until then, peace.
Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Vamos Azul.
So you can help everybody.